the Prop Drawdown Protector Expert, which is offered for various platforms on the TradingFinder website. From this section, you can download the expert file for MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 platforms and run it on the chart. Additionally, traders can read this page to learn about the functionality and operation of the expert. From the Navigator section, we select the expert file and run the expert by dragging the file onto the chart. At the bottom, we enable the Allow Algo Trading option, then go to the Dependency section here, and also activate the Allow DLL Imports option in this part. By enabling the Allow DLL Imports option, the expert is granted permission to check the license in this section, and in the Input section, you can simply enter your dedicated license. To obtain a dedicated license, go to the TradingFinder website, get your dedicated license from the Support section, and enter it here. Here, I enter the license, and then I click the Confirm button. Once the expert is loaded onto the chart, a panel along with a warning will be displayed for us. If you have previously run the expert and saved your customized settings, then by clicking on the Yes option in this dialog, you can easily import and restore your personalized settings. This allows you to quickly bring back all of your preferred configurations and adjustments, ensuring that your experience remains consistent with your previous choices and preferences. And if this is your first time running the expert, by clicking on the No option, you will run the expert with the default settings. Here, I have previously saved some settings, and then I click on the Yes option. As you can see, the settings have changed for me, and my personalized settings are displayed, and the expert has now been launched for me. The PropForm Account Drawdown Protector Expert is a highly specialized and advanced tool designed specifically for prop traders that, by providing a total of 7 different distinct tabs, allows traders to fully customize it so they can effectively use this expert to adhere to proper trading psychology and remain consistently disciplined and fully committed to their overall trading plan. This expert easily integrates with all trading strategies to enhance traders' performance and efficiency. At the top section of the panel, by clicking on this option, the expert requests to close. If you click on Yes, the expert will close, and if you click on No, the closing of the expert will be cancelled and it will remain on the chart. By clicking on the second option, the expert is minimized and changes to its smallest possible size, allowing us to easily move the expert panel around the chart. By clicking the minimize option again, it will return to its default state. At the bottom, there are 7 different tabs, with the first tab related to the trade entry volume and the number of trade lots. The second tab is for the trade entry time frame. The third tab is for profit and loss, where we can set the take profit and loss values. The next section is related to the symbol. The fifth tab is related to account information. The sixth tab is for take profit and stop loss, and finally the seventh tab is for news. In the first tab, there are options where we can set the trade entry volume, number of trades, maximum profit, and the maximum number of consecutive wins or losses, which are organized here on a daily and weekly basis. The first option is related to the trade entry volume, specifying the maximum volume we can use to enter a single trade. In this section, I enter the value of 1/10, and if I enter a trade with a volume greater than 1/10, here, for example, I select a volume of 1 lot and enter the trade, you can see the limit message related to the position volume displayed here on the screen, as you can clearly see right here. The next section relates to the maximum trading volume in a single day, where we can enter the volume here. For example, here I enter one lot, which means that in a single day, I can only enter a maximum of one lot into a trade. If I enter a trade with more than this specified amount, for example, if I enter a trade with 2 lots, then here we can clearly see the warning message that is related to the daily trading volume limit as shown. The next section concerns the maximum number of trades in a single day, where we can enter the amount here based on our trading strategy. For example, if I enter the number 10 here, I can have a maximum of only 10 trades in one day. The next section is specifically related to the settings for max daily sequential loss and max daily sequential profit, where we are able to enter our desired number for each. Based on this number, we can then set the maximum number of consecutive losses and also consecutive losses, as well as the maximum number of consecutive profits that are allowed to occur in a row. And here I have specifically entered the number 5, which means that in this case I can only have a maximum of 5 consecutive losses in a single day. In the next section, we can set the maximum trade entry size for 1 week. For example, in 1 week we are allowed to enter trades with a maximum total of 10 lots. The next section is related to the maximum number of trades in a week, where we can specify the minimum number of trades we are allowed to enter in a week. The next section is about the maximum weekly sequential loss and the maximum weekly sequential profit, where we can, in particular, set the number of consecutive losses in a week and the number of consecutive profits in a week. The next tab is related to the time window for entering a trade. In the first section, we can generally set the trade entry time and the trade exit time, which runs from midnight to midnight the next day. This means that, in general, we have the right to trade for 24 hours in this section. Also, in the lower section, we can set our trading days, which are selectable from Monday to Sunday in this section, and we have the ability to specify a desired time window for each trading day. For example, today is Monday. Here, I deactivate Monday, and on this day, I am not allowed to enter any trades. If I enter a trade, a daily limit warning will be displayed here, clearly notifying us of this situation. For example, we entered a trade on Monday and then executed a position. I activate Monday again, but this time I set a specific time window for it. Be sure to pay attention to the time format when setting the hours. The first 2 digits should specify the hour. Then comes a colon, and after that you enter the minutes in this section. Here, I entered a trade that was outside of our designated time. Right now it's 12:35, but I set the trade entry window for 1 p.m. as you can see. A warning for opening a position on Monday with the limit that we have set has now been displayed for us. I'll select it as the default. The next tab relates to the maximum daily profit and maximum daily loss, along with the maximum weekly profit and maximum weekly loss, which we can enable or disable as needed. Based on the check marks that are placed here, and if any of them are currently active or enabled, as indicated, we can then set the daily profit percentage, the daily loss percentage, the weekly profit percentage, as well as the weekly loss percentage in the first section below. Or we can choose to set it based on pips, specifying how much take profit we have in terms of pips during a day, or how much take profit we have in terms of dollars. In the section below, we can simply set our limits based on daily loss and daily stop loss. For example, we can specify that in one day we are allowed to lose a maximum of 1%, or that in one day we are only allowed to lose 200 pips, or that in one day we are only permitted to lose $300. In the next section, we can set the maximum weekly profit based on percentage, pips, and dollars, along with the maximum weekly loss, also based on percentage, pips, and finally dollars. The fourth tab relates to tradable symbols, where we can specify which symbols we are allowed to trade. The first option refers to the only trading symbol for which we have run the expert advisor, and at the moment we are on the XAUUSD symbol. The next option pertains to all open charts, and with this option we can include all the charts that are currently open and running in the lower section. This means that by enabling this section, we can only enter trades on the trading symbols that are open in the lower section. The next section relates to the market watch, and we can execute trades on all trading symbols that are listed in the market watch. And the section below is for the specific symbols you want. This means that in this section, we can enter our 10 preferred symbols and trade based on them. If we try to trade a symbol that hasn't been added here, we will receive a warning. For example, here I am only allowed to trade on the GBPUSD symbol. And if I open a trade on the gold symbol, for instance, let's say gold itself, a warning will be displayed to notify me that a position is being opened on a different symbol. One important point to pay attention to in this section is the trading symbol you enter here. In some brokers, trading symbols may have suffixes or prefixes, and we must make sure to enter the suffix or prefix here. The next tab is the Trades tab, where we can view general information about the account. In the first section, it shows us the starting balance of the day. The next section is related to the starting balance of the week. The next section is about the daily profit, where you can see whether you are in profit or loss for the day. The following section is related to the weekly profit, showing whether you are in profit or loss for the week. The next section is about sequential profit and sequential loss. Here, you can clearly see the number of consecutive losses and wins in this section, and in the next two sections, you are able to observe and view the daily drawdown as well as the weekly drawdown here. Also, by clicking on the last option, which is the Data tab, you can see a separate tab with the information from this section displayed at the bottom, or you can simply switch between different tabs without needing to enter the Trades tab. The next tab is related to Take Profit and Stop Loss, where we can enable its options here. If we activate the obligatory TP option, we can set an alert for determining the take profit. For example, let's say we've entered a trade. Before that, let me close the extra trades in this section. On the chart, we entered a trade, but we didn't set a stop loss or take profit for it. When we enter the trade, a warning is displayed to remind us that we haven't set a take profit for the position. In this section, we can enable or disable the warning for take profit or stop loss so that the alert is issued for us or not. At the bottom section, we can also set the alert time. That means after we've entered a trade, in this section we can specify the time range for when the alert should be issued for us. After entering a trade, I want an alert to be issued for me within a maximum of 10 minutes, so that if I haven't set a take profit for the position, I can set one, or it can serve as a reminder that I've entered a trade and I want an alert to be issued for me after 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 15 minutes to remind me to set a stop loss or take profit for this position. In the next section, we can enable or disable the moving stop loss and moving take profit, where the maximum number set here is 3, but we can increase or decrease this value. I can close past trades here. By simply enabling these two options, we can set a maximum limit for how many times we are allowed to move our take profit or stop loss. For example, here I enter a buy trade. I received a stop loss warning. I will disable these two options. Here, I am allowed to move my stop loss once, twice, and at most 3 times. However, if I attempt to move my stop loss for the 4th time, I will receive a warning clearly indicating that I have reached the limit for moving the stop loss. We can also see this limit for take profit, where I am allowed to move the take profit once, twice, and at most 3 times, and if I do it a 4th time, I will receive a warning. In the last section, there is the news option, where we can set a time interval before and after the news announcement. If I check the first option here, I will receive a warning before the news is released, so that I am informed about entering a trade or any important news events. And by enabling the second option, I can set a limit after the news, specifying up to what range after the news I want to receive a warning. In the section below, I can set the news time, which relates to the first mode. For example, if I set the number to 10, the warning will be displayed to me exactly 10 minutes before the news. And if I have also checked the second option, I will receive a warning 10 minutes after the news as well, so that I am aware of the news time window. In the section below, we can enable or disable the display of news updates for different currencies, which specifically includes the 8 major global currencies. Here, we have the option to activate or deactivate each individual one so that news is shown to us accordingly based on our preferences. And if there is any upcoming news, it will appear in this section for us. Currently, no news has been issued for us. In the lower section, we can, if desired, enable or disable the display of all news. And in the next section, by clicking on this particular option, we can easily view the very latest news that is currently approaching. If there is any news listed here, by clicking on this option, we can also see the upcoming news that is near in the upper section just above. and the most important upcoming news that is about to be announced to us will be displayed at the top. Well, friends, we've reached the end of this expert's tutorial. We would truly appreciate it if you could kindly share your valuable comments and thoughtful suggestions with us in the comments section below.